I got a ranking for you.
What's up?
You're a Stephen King fan. I want to know. I've never read a Stephen King book. I don't even know if I've watched a Stephen King movie.
Yeah, you have.
What is it?
You've seen It.
No.
I
don't watch horror.
You've seen Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yeah, okay. I forget about that. But,
The Shining.
okay, scariest Stephen King books.
Scariest?
Not your favorite.
Scariest. Not my favorite, but my scariest.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Top 3.
This is going to be specific to my fears. So, yeah, I think...
Does he have a book about being gay and, like, having trouble coming out?
No, I'm not scared of that at all. Jesus Christ. So, he redeems it. No, my top... I think the top 2 scary... There's a lot of scary books because he's a horror writer. You said it yourself?
Go ahead.
I think the number 3, I got The Regulators. So there's this period during Stephen King's career where he had this alias called Richard Bachman, and he wrote three or four books underneath that name, right?
That's crazy.
And he made a book called The Regulators, and it follows this woman who's being harassed by these toys. It's a very weird book, and this one toy is like kind of omnipresent, and it doesn't allow her to kind of even think. Every time she's trying to think about escaping, it's all told through her letters and how she's like trapped inside this house. The presence comes into the room and it tells her like, you don't do that. I know what you're thinking about. You can't do that. It's like almost like a godlike figure, so she can't even get away from it. It's this crazy one. Second, I got to go with Desperation, which, funny enough, that book is like the Stephen King, but it's like the two different. It's hard to describe. It's like the other dimension is a parallel dimension to The Regulators, and it exists with this. It follows this Christian boy who goes on a trip with his parents, and they get stopped by this sheriff, and this sheriff has killed almost everyone in the city, this small little city, and he stops to help them because their car broke down, and they end up having to try to escape, and they end up finding all these like murderous scenes that he did throughout the city. Really scary, very vulgar, very violent book. First, I'm gonna give it to Revival. Revival takes the premise of this book is that this pastor revokes his faith because his wife dies in a tragic car accident. And he goes on this life of becoming a traveling street magician and trying to figure out what the afterlife actually is. And it follows this one character who, he was a kid whenever he revoked his faith, and he was watching the pastor revoke it in front of the church, and he got kicked out. He finds him years later as a 30-year-old man. He's depressed and alcoholic, and he ends up going to work for that pastor years later, and it turns out he was right, and they find something in the afterlife that is completely defying of your expectations. It's so good, very terrifying.
Oh, wow.
It's very good. And
yeah, I need to read that.
I remember listening to it going, how does this man even think about writing this book? It was like, this is an insane idea.
That's
crazy. You should check it out. Yeah, it terrified me. I was working at Walmart when I was listening to the audiobook, and I was pushing carts, and I remember I would sometimes jump as I'm pushing the carts.
Off the words.
They definitely thought I was tweaking out in the Walmart parking lot.
You probably were slick.
Yeah, for real. It was good. Good book. Stephen King himself.
All right.
Yeah, baby, need top 5 when I'm done going mental. Yeah, I'm locked in. You can peep my condition in the lab all winter. All summer. Yeah, I went dumb. Now I'm about to go dumb.